Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be discussing what it's like to live with a 1995 Ford Probe SE. So some quick specs on it. It is a 5-speed stick shift with a 2.0 4-cylinder gasoline engine in front. And so yeah, it's quick on that. For tires, if anybody's wondering, 205/65 15s in the front and 195/60 15s in the back. Those I do plan on changing though, but those don't really matter. So let's get started. So we're gonna first discuss, to me, some cons when it comes to the engine. So go ahead and pop the hood. So right here is our 2.0 liter 4-cylinder. And some might think, oh, it's only a 4-cylinder. It's easy to work on. That depends. Some things, distributor, really easy to get to. Spark plugs, really easy to get to. Fluids, really easy to get to. But some other things that you might want to also have easy access to are not, such as the alternator. So as we're looking here, if anybody can find the alternator, please tell me in the comments. It'd be great. You know, game over. But so the alternator is actually down there. It's on the back side, on the bottom of the engine, and you know, it's really not the greatest in terms of location. And the reason why I say that is because, one, to get the bolts off, you have to come mostly from the top, and that also includes doing the belt tension, which I'll get to that in a second. Yeah, you have to come from the top to get most of the bolts off, but then you have to go from the bottom to get the positives, I think it's the positive off, and to get the rest of the bottom bolt out. And then you have to, on some models you don't have to do this, but on mine I had to. You have to move the exhaust out of the way and then sneak the alternator between the CV axle and the cross member, and then also sneak it out around the exhaust. So it's just, it took me all day to do it, and it's a job that I really don't want to do again, and I hope I never have to. But now let's move on to the belts. So most cars have a singular serpentine belt or accessory belt, and it gets its tension by a spring-loaded belt tensioner. Very normal. This car is not. I have two serpentine belts. One runs the alternator and the water pump and then goes down to the crank pulley, and then there's another one that runs my power steering and the AC compressor. So, you know, having two belts, not the biggest issue in the world. The problem is how they get their tension. So with the power steering belt, the power steering pump actually pivots, and that's how it's adjusted with this bolt. This is actually aftermarket because the last one broke. And then the alternator is the same way. It pivots to tighten its own belt. So that's mostly it for maintenance and parts. Well, not really parts, more parts. So depending on what you're getting for the car can really change the price of the part. So radiator, $100. Alternator was $120. But the idle air control valve, which is, one, huge, this whole thing is idle air control valve, and two, hard to take off, is, I believe it was $300. The AC compressor, $200. That's just the compressor, nothing else. But then, yep, radiator, $100. A suitable battery. This is a junkyard battery. I think I paid like $40 for that. What else? Oil change stuff was really cheap for this. I got an oil change done with semi-truck oil. Got it done for, I think it was about $40 or $50. Really wasn't a bad deal. Tires, really cheap because I have 15-inch rims with a very common tire size. So I'm very happy with that. But yeah, just random parts will be ridiculously expensive. So even headlights, the bulbs themselves, not that expensive, but the hardware that goes around the bulbs is expensive. It's about $80 per side, and I'm pretty much need both sides. So if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, so this right here, the bulb is good, but if you see the screw and the metal around the bulb, that is what I need replaced. It's, you know, rusting out. Yeah, that's expensive. It's about $80 per side. And luckily, I will say though, you know, a few years ago, parts were really hard to find for these cars, but now there's such a big group of people that love these cars and own these cars that parts are coming back for them. So hopefully, you know, after a few years go on and these become maybe a little bit more collectible, parts will be cheaper for them. So now let's move on to the positives. I really shouldn't have started the video on a bad note, but let's get started with positives. So I have a bunch of them. You know, please note, I absolutely love this car and I plan to keep it forever. But it has its little faults here and there that kind of, you know, grind my gears just a little bit. But so on to the positives. One, tires, just like I mentioned, are really cheap for this. A good amount of maintenance parts are cheap. Spark plugs, distributor. Yeah, the distributor wasn't too bad. That's cheap. Headlight bulbs are cheap. It's generally easy to work on. I will say that. I haven't had too much trouble. Just there's certain things that aren't so easy to work on. And then I also really love the design of this car. And it just, I don't know, it stands out. But why don't we go take it for a drive? I think the car is just sitting here waiting to see, you know, when is he gonna drive me? So let's go ahead and jump in here. Is that air car coming off again? Yes, it is. I'll try and fix that once I'm home. So yeah, and then more things. The interior I love. It's so simple, but yet it does what it's supposed to. It has all the dials you want, has everything that you need. And even the gauges, very simple, easy to read. Even a dummy could could know what's going on. Let's go ahead and fire her up. So you'll actually turn that off. It's my little phone for the radio. So let's get going. So another thing too, now that we're driving, is once you learn this car, it is very easy to drive. It takes off so smooth. All of your inputs are really smooth, and it makes this car really nice to drive, actually. Like, it doesn't feel too jittery, it doesn't feel squirrely on the highway. This thing loves the highway. I can't get over how much it just simply loves driving on the interstate. Because you could just sit there doing 75 and it'll do it for hours. It will not care. It gets great fuel mileage on the highway. And hopefully once this thing is running perfectly, it'll get even better. I think right now I'm getting probably about, I'm trying to think how much I would be getting. I would assume maybe about 25. So let's see, gates are open. Go ahead and wave goodbye to the nice gate attendants. I was worried when I found this spot that I have to pay for parking, but nope. I got in and I got out, all for free. So now I just hope they don't send me something in the mail saying like, oh, you got to pay up, you parked here. So let's see, we might actually have to cut our drive a little bit short. Well, let's see if we can get rolling a little bit though. This thing has recently acquired a overheating issue. There we go. Fixed the problem. Another thing too is I do have an aftermarket exhaust on this, but you know, this car, I almost feel like it kind of wants to be tinkered with, but just slightly. Like nothing too major. Like, you know, my plan for this car is I want to keep it naturally aspirated. I want to keep it as stock as I can. And, you know, I threw the muffler on there. It was only a $30 muffler, but man, does it sound good on this car. And this car is a really deep tone for it being a 4-cylinder. And it sets it apart from other 4-cylinder, you know, 90s sports cars, I guess you could say. Is that, like, because like the Hondas of this era, you know, they would get really annoying, especially past like $4,000 with the same setup that I have, because I have no cat. I do have the resonator, but I don't think it really has anything in it. And then it just goes straight back to the muffler, and it's all 2-inch pipe until it hits the tip, and the tip is 3 inches. So, but it sounds good, and it's nice to drive with this setup and the sound deadening that this thing has, because it's actually quiet. When you have the windows up, it's quiet in here. Like, you could just cruise. Another thing too, speaking of, you know, how this thing drives, it handles very well. And I've never really seen another vehicle handle the way this one does. I've been able to, even with, you know, I do have a broken strut on that corner. It's still drivable, obviously, but it is broken. And then, you know, 13-year-old, almost bald tires. I have not even heard a squeal. It puts all of the tires down on the ground really well, and it makes getting on the highway a lot of fun, because you can have people behind you, you know, you leave them in the dust when you hit the turn. Another thing too, you know, and I'm sure some have noticed, is this car has really great visibility out of all of its windows, and it makes it, even though that it's a really small car, like, it really doesn't feel as small as it really is because of how much glass there is in this car. Like, if we look around, all the pillars are thin. I see everything that I want to see, and nothing more. One thing that I'll always enjoy about, you know, owning this car and driving it every day is it does what you want it to do. It goes, it stops, it's really nice off the line, it gets good fuel mileage, there's plenty of trunk storage. Ooh, what is that? Wow, it looks like a 64 Chrysler. I don't know what kind of Chrysler, but that looked cool. And then there's I think that was an Escort. Now that summer's coming around, all the cool cars are coming out. But one thing that I will have to say, though, is kind of a downside on the interior, is there isn't much storage space inside. Like, the glove box is kind of on the small side. You do have door pockets, but they're not too big. The center console is really small, and there's only one cup holder, and it's built into the center console. It's really not that good. And then there's this one cubby here, and that's pretty much it. So, but if you know how to manage your space and what you carry with you in your car, it really isn't all that bad. It definitely takes a second to get used to it. And speaking of getting used to it, if you're new to driving this car, it's very particular. It likes to be treated in a very special kind of way for you to have a smooth driving experience. So for someone like me, I've put about 2,000 miles on this car in about 6 months, I would say. And you know, to me, I can drive it smoothly. You know, it has no problem. I know everything. I know what it likes. I know what it doesn't like. But if I have, you know, let's say a family member borrowing the car, or, you know, a family member driving it out for the first time, you know, they get kind of shocked, and it steers them away from the car. Because if you take off wrong, you'll end up shaking your head all about. And first gear, you know, if you let off the gas completely, the car will come pretty much to a stop because of how good the compression is in this car and with this engine. So there's a very fine point on the gas to where you can keep rolling. And it's definitely a lot to explain to some people, but you can tell once it clicks, people really like this car. And like, people like driving it. I can't tell you many times, you know, I've had people ask me like, oh, is that a Probe? I'm like, yeah, it's a 95, you know, and they're like, how many miles? You know, this, and that. And they're just shocked. They're shocked that this car is still on the road. And it makes me feel happy knowing that people like this car. People enjoy seeing this car. You know, it's not like seeing a Buick Encore. You know, I look at the Buick Encore that's in front of me right now, and I'm like, it's a Buick. You know, it's not one of the cool Buicks either. It's a Buick. But if I see like a Camaro, like an older Camaro, or just like that Chrysler, you know, it catches my attention. And a car like this, with it being, you know, very bright orange, catches a lot of people's attention as well. And people like it. People say, man, I haven't seen one of those since the 90s and the 2000s. You know, they were everywhere, but then they went away. And this is kind of one of those, this is like, you know, Cash for Clunker's Survivor. And it just, knowing that this car is rare, it brings a special feeling to one who sees it, or one who owns it, drives it. You know, even the color. I have the rarest color of Probe that was ever sold, in Tangerine Frost Metallic. And I've never seen another Tangerine Probe in person. And I've only seen, I think, 2 others in pictures. It's just, you know, it's a special car. Some people don't see it that way, but, you know, especially car guys, especially older car guys, you know, they see this car and they know it's special. It's had I would say, a rocky history, but now that's kind of forgotten. Not a lot of people know that the first-gen Probes were almost the Ford Mustang, but were canceled. You know, all that's forgotten about, and they just remember seeing these, especially car guys that were born in the 70s and the 80s. You know, some of them either had these as first cars, or they've seen them everywhere as a kid. And so it can bring back good memories to some people, and I think that's why some people really like these cars. The blinky sign says I'm speeding, even though that I was going under the speed limit. Makes no sense. One thing that has really come to surprise me as well with this car is it's actually really comfortable. Like, I can sit in this car for hours. And speaking of, I actually have just been doing a bunch of running around all morning because there's a bunch of stuff that I want to do to this car. And so I did some running around, getting quotes and whatnot. And, you know, I think it was almost every person that I went and seen actually mentioned something about my car, and, you know, asking like what it was, how many miles are on it, what year it is. And, you know, it makes me feel really good knowing that people like the car. But, you know, I don't feel strained, really. Like, I could drive for hours. just like I said, all the cool cars are coming out today. Like this car will surprise people, and it has surprised me before. Like just a few days ago, I was getting on the highway and I was, I thought to myself, you know what, I'm gonna see what this thing can do. And so I threw it into a decently sharp curve at about 45, and it just stayed through it. I stayed on the gas, and I think I was in third, and it just does it. It just stays into it no matter what you do. This is I'll definitely say it is a very happy car. Make sure let's kick it down. Like it loves to go. It loves going places. It loves, when I look at this car, I almost feel like it wants to be my friend. Especially with the pop-up headlights. Oh, this car just, it sounds so good for being only a 4-cylinder. Let's keep going. Just a little bit more. Yeah, I don't know, this car it's definitely going to be one that I'm never going to let go, and hope, in the future, if I ever have children, they'll be fighting over it. They'll be saying, no, I want the Pro, or, this and that. Hopefully that's how it goes. Hopefully, my children will love this car as much as I do. Oh, great. Alright. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to figure out a way to get over. Unless, is it just a short train? Nope, it is a freight train. Woohoo! Nice. Buddy, just kind of got to scoot in here, see if we can use this parking lot. I don't see why not. Ooh, that was a big pothole. Just kind of scoot on in here very slowly. Here we are. Now let this thing cool off a little bit. Getting a little bit above the R, almost to the M of normal, but luckily that's something that I know how to fix. So, and hopefully you guys will see a video on how to fix that. Actually, it's simple. Just the radiator seems to be clogged, so got to just figure out what exactly I want to do, whether I want to get the radiator flushed or if I want to just buy a new radiator. I'll have to see what happens. So, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if there's anything that I missed, if you are a Probe owner or you have owned a Probe, I would love to hear from you, hear your stories, hear what you think of the cars. And if I missed anything, any pros, any cons of the car, please let me know. So I hope to see you guys in the next video. All right, bye guys.